stream of the live, or supposedly in the live of the stream. And this is for those joining us who've never been here, seen any of this, heard any of this, because you have much better things to do than to spend your time here. But we don't. And that's why we're here. We're just going to hang out because we all like to talk about stuff that's kind of interesting and otherwise. And the most important thing is we have a theme. A week ago, Saturday, we started this theme of, I don't know about that. And the idea was anything that doesn't fit into, I don't know about that. Oh, that's last week's, right, G? That's tonight. So tonight's is, I don't know about that. Last week was what's up with that. And then Thursday's show was, wait, what? So we're going to do more of wait, what? The stuff that makes you go, I mean, we've talked about it many times. We all agree. There's more wait, what? I'm not sure about that. And what's up with that going on than ever before. I mean, even down under, Terry, who has just celebrated his 74th orbit around Sol. Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You don't look a day over 84.
Oh, thank you very much. No, I've had a misspent youth. Definitely misspent youth, that's for sure. Oh, dear. What can I say?
Well, so 74, how does it feel like you thought it would when you thought about it before you got there?
Well, I was prepared for it. I took a lot of sedatives and to calm myself down and everything else. You know, when you get my age, well, people our age, I should say, we tend to be kind of, well, just another day, you know what I mean? We don't kind of look forward to it. You know, and it's true what they say, you know, where have the friggin' years gone? You know, it's just like, boom. It's like, it feels like it was only yesterday, mate. I was doing marathons. Now I have trouble picking up my cane.
And so, I mean, just picking anything up, let alone picking yourself up.
Oh, mate, hey, I've done that.
Right?
I fell over drunk one day. And I tell you something, I laid there for about an hour thinking to myself, my God, I felt like I was falling off a cliff. There was I holding onto the gutter, yelling out, help, help, I'm falling. Mind you, I was drunk, of course, you know what I mean? Yes. Suddenly your body weight just feels 10 times or 15 times heavier. You just lose muscle mass, you know?
So that kind of begs the question in my mind, at least, which we all know where the hell that goes. If you are only as old as you think, or the axiom is the age is a state of mind, right? Well, if you have that ability to think about age differently in your mind, will it change your body?
Well, let's put it this way. I feel like I feel like an 18-year-old, but my wife won't let me. But no, honestly, I feel I don't think any different than what I was when I was, say, 30. I'll be honest, and I think most people, as they get older, we may be old and decrepit on the outside, but we actually still young with our thoughts. And I mean, we appreciate art and we appreciate a good-looking bod and a nice figure and a good-looking woman. You know what I mean? Hey. All the mental things and the hormones still kind of, hey, we're still the same. But the point is, the body doesn't let you. That's the thing.
Well, you have to enable it so that you can. And I think that's part of the problem that most of what I think is happening with the different ailments that people are experiencing that require, and everything from blood pressure to diabetes to some mental condition and anal leakage. I mean, there's all these, everything's got a cure or a suppressant to whatever that condition is. And at the end of the day, you end up on dozens or 2 or 3 dozens of medications and pills a day or a week.
Right. Well, look,
And
you
so,
hit the nail on the head there, because look, I take 6 tablets for my heart and 2 a day for my type 2 diabetes. Right now, yes, I've had a misspent youth, and man, my diabetes is not so bad, and I didn't necessarily have a heart attack. I just had a minor blockage, didn't do any damage to my heart. So I have actually got 2 stents in my heart. So basically, the most important one I think they should take really is the Aspra. What they call a cardioprin to keep the blood thin, the flow through the stints they put in me heart. But hey, that's life. Can't live forever. Yeah, you can't live forever. Hey, and we're here for a short time. Let's make it a good time. That's what I say. I mean, the planet's been here more than 4.5 billion years before I came on the scene, and I'm not even a microsecond of its existence, and it's still going to be here billions of years after I'm gone. So can't remember anything bad before, and I won't remember anything bad afterwards. And I can guarantee you, I'm only, for the time I'm here, I want to enjoy myself. That's for sure. Hey, love and be loved. So that's what it's all about. Sharing the love, sharing the peace.
now, is that some kind of slogan like "Shrimp on the Barbie" from Down Under? Or?
You've been watching Paul Hogan too much, mate. yeah, shrimp on the Barbie. Well, actually,
go ahead.
That's not really an Aussie thing, really. Shrimp on the Barbie. I don't know where they got that from. It's actually in Australia. We call them prawns, the big king prawns. We like them cooked on ice. Like they're already been pre-cooked, and they're sitting in ice, and you pick them up and they're nice and cold. Now, eat them, and they're nice and fresh and cold, not hot and sticky and slimy. So that's the Aussie way. Prawns on ice.
Well, have you ever seen like Kentucky or Southern barbecue from the United States?
Yes, I have. Very nice. Very nice. I prefer the drumsticks. Don't like the breast so much. It can be a bit dry on the breast, but the drumsticks are juicy, mate. But that's the unhealthy stuff. You know what I mean? Too much kind of.
Well, I don't know about that. Which.
But hey, I prefer Burger King than McDonald's for sure. Grilled burger,
Yeah.
Plain grilled. Yeah, far better than Macca's. I tell you, that's why McDonald's, we call McDonald's Macca's here in Australia. And in the Philippines, they call it McDot. Yeah, different names for McDonald's. Well, personally, my name for McDonald's is a load of shit. I mean,
well, I can tell you that it was in the it was like early to mid 90s. I did a few weeks in Asia, so I was in Tokyo, Seoul, Beijing, Hong Kong, Singapore, and I spent like 2 weeks there. So I got to, every one of them was business trip. So I had people they were hosting me, and they made sure that I got the local awesomeness of whatever that was. The sushi in Tokyo was, and it was really cool because our office was downtown. We could see Tokyo Bay, the harbor right there, the bay right there. We were that close. And the first day for lunch, the host knew that I was a big Japanese sushi fan and culture, and they said, "You want some real authentic sushi?" And I went, "You bet." We go down the elevator, and we're like on the 10th floor, and across the street, we walk across the street, and there's this ginormous building there, and it was clearly with not more than 10 years old, but right at the corner at the bottom was this old original sushi joint that had been there for like 4 or 5 generations. So they built this ginormous building around that sushi joint.
Right. Okay. You're lucky. You're lucky you're able to eat in a place like that, because I know for a fact in Japan, the law says they have the right to refuse foreigners. Because they keep it purely for Japanese.
Yeah.
you know. And but there are restaurants that do allow foreigners for sure, but the traditional ones, like you're mentioning, you're lucky you got into a place like that.
Because it was the locals, right? And I was their guest. And so we go in there, and it's this fairly long, I'd say, maybe 100 feet long, of this kind of a buffet style thing where you had the glass and it had all the fish on ice, but it was just lined with some stuff I could identify. Others, I said, "Are you sure this came from the ocean? You sure this didn't fall from the sky somewhere or come out of somebody's chemical lab experiment?"
Actually, they like sea urchin roe. You know, sea urchin, little round things in the spikes.
Yeah,
they take the roe out of it, you know, and it's kind of a pinkish orange color, and it's absolutely beautiful. And they do a sauce with it. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh man, hey, here we are talking about food. Look at me, mate. I'm busting out.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think all of us that come on here can definitely say is that none of us are undernourished.
No, that's true. That's true. Do you know what? One thing I have noticed, I mean, as time goes, our things change. I mean, we have a thing here called a traditional Aussie burger, right? Now, we don't call it meat patties. It's actually a burger. It's made out of real ground beef, and it's about half an inch thick, right? But an Aussie burger, it exists of a large round roll, not a little tiny one where they fill it up, and when you go to hold it, everything falls out. It's a large roll, right? And it's usually got a nice crispy sesame seed crust to it, right? Now you've got this fat burger in the middle, beef burger. It's Angus beef. None of this bloody artificial shit, you know. And then you got an egg, and then you got your onions, then you got your tomato, then you got your beetroot, and then you got your pineapple and cheese, and it's like a tropical, and it stands about nearly 8 inches high, and it's huge. You can feed 2 people. Now that is a traditional Aussie burger. Now what happens? McDonald's and Hungry Jack's. Well, actually, Hungry Jack's is Burger King, right? But we don't have Burger King in Australia. We call them Hungry Jack's. Same company, different logo. And they came on the scene, and I tell you, do you remember years ago, McDonald's and Hungry Jack's, their burgers are huge. You've seen the size of them now? Oh, my God, mate. But they got rid of all the beetroot because Aussie burgers got the beetroot, heaps of onions, and it's really nice, mate. Flavor.
That sounds like a lot of gastral activity ahead.
Well, let's put it this way, mate. It's bloody nice.
I bet it is. I mean, we've got. You were talking about how small the burgers have gotten. Gee, you know about White Castles?
Oh yeah. Yep, White Castles were the sliders. I mean, they go
Never heard of that. Never heard of that. Never heard.
Well, tell them about it. Tell them what it is, G.
It's a fast food chain. And it's usually it started out up by Chicago, Joliet and above, and it's little square, little tiny burgers. I mean, they're like 2 bites and you're done. And it has mustard, onion, on it, but I mean, you eat that and you are getting rid of it within a half hour.
Oh, so what you're saying is it's an hors d'oeuvre. It's not a meal, it's an hors d'oeuvre.
But you can buy bags of 10, 20, they sell you just tons of them at one time if you want them. That's what everybody would do. They go in and buy just a big bag full of them.
Yeah, because they were like $2 each, or no less than that, like $1.25 or 50 when I saw them back in the mid 80s. When I was actually first introduced to those things when I was living in Huntington Beach in California before I moved to Chicago, because my soon-to-be wife knew the inside track back then, and there was these White Castle food trucks that would deliver White Castles to various places around the country. They'd make one run, and it was like this special run, and certain people would get it. She got in on the club, got the code, said, "Here, go to this address." And I said, "What am I getting?" She says, "Just go there and give them this number." I pull into this parking lot and there's this 40-foot trailer opened up and there's a bunch of people milling around and the doors are open and there's a guy and there's all these stacks of boxes, not bags, boxes. I think there at least 80 or 100 of those sliders per box. Fuck, ginormous. Handed him the ticket. He says, "Oh, thank you, sir." And he hands me a box. I go, we were living in at an apartment in Huntington Beach. I bring him back and I said, "What's this?" She says, "You have no idea what you're about to experience." She ripped open the box, grabbed out a bunch of them, threw them in the micro and nuked them, and then pulled them out. She goes, "Here, just take a bite. It smells okay. What's in this thing?" And the patties have holes in them.
Yeah.
They're not just little squares, but they've got five holes.
5. It looks like a domino.
Yeah. So it's a little tiny patty, and I open this thing up, and it's the bun is like a little muffin cut in half, or it's a mini hamburger bun, really. But
right.
So I took that thing out. I smelled it. I said, "Ooh, that smells like it's going to taste real good." Unfortunately, I had beer there, and I popped that in and went, "Yeah, I need 3 or 4 more of those."
You know, a fabulous place for food. I mean, Singapore, that's the place.
Yes.
With the street food there is brilliant. I mean, I don't eat street food. And if I go through Asia, I wouldn't eat street food. But in Singapore, they have a very strict health code. Even the streets, you don't even see bubble gum on the footpath. It's so clean, right? Anyway, their noodles is fantastic, mate. You can get all these different varieties and different flavors. It's kind of, yeah, well, hey, mate, I'm just putting on 10 kilos just thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's absolutely nice. But you go to other countries, mate, you smell the stuff, mate, and you got what I call barley belly for the rest of the bloody week. You know what I mean? Hey, I remember when I was in Bali, I've been to Bali quite a few times. And I tell you, mate, you walk past the restaurants and they just smell rancid. For some reason, they got that smell. But there's a place off Bali called, was it? Lombok. It's an island. It's where the old royal palace is, and the beautiful gardens, and they've got temples, beautiful temples, and the food there was absolutely fantastic, mate. I tell you, Indonesian food, very nice, very nice. If you go to the right place. Yeah,
you're right about.
Yeah,
you're right about Singapore. I was down there twice. We were right on there's the main road, which is right on the harbor there, and that's like where downtown Singapore is. And then that's just a row, though. It might be a block or 2 deep, and right behind that is all of the servant class that are taking care of it, and that's where that street food was that I found. You walk down along some of those streets, and these guys were just sitting there making up this incredible shit, and I'm looking at it going, I think I'm going to try that. It was awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah, I know. And you can't. I mean, people. You know, I mean, even in Australia, we've got these food halls and that, and we've got Singaporean foods. It's not the same. You know, I mean, people try to copy it and they just can't do it. You know, I don't know if it's the noodles or what. You know, but do they export the noodles? So that's the thing, or we export the crap. And they keep the good shit. I mean, I don't know. But it's different cultures, different foods, you know. But one thing when I was over in the States, I remember they call it a quarter-pound steak, you know, and I couldn't believe it just to look at the damn thing. It looked like it was still alive, and it tasted so good. And it was the way the barbecue sauce they actually put on it. You know, it wasn't like, I don't call it barbecue sauce. It was like a satay of some sort. You know, beautiful. You Yanks know how to cook a decent steak. I'd say that, mate. If you can afford it, that is.
Yeah. Well, and Sarah has popped in tonight. Thank you for coming, Sarah. And she says, it's a shame that food culture, which is what we're talking about,
Yeah.
would be lost within a generation when kids don't pick up where their parents started.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's calling out us geezers saying, have you guys taught your kids proper like?
Well, hey, isn't it interesting? How many kids today can wake up in the morning and smell cake cooking or bread cooking from the kitchen? When I was a kid, every Sunday I can smell the cake my mum's been cooking as a kid, and not just cake, bread, and and cookies. Home baking. They don't do it these days. It's cheap just to go and buy. Buy all the stuff with the chemicals and
so
preservatives. Yeah.
So I think might have been last Saturday or maybe it was Thursday. They're all kind of running together at this point. But we were talking about the whole issue of what we were taught has been removed from the system, and it's been replaced by some clearly ineffective, inefficient, and wrong systems and ideas and the ways to be. I loved shop class, and we had metal class, we had wood shop, we had engines, and we went and worked on shit. And that was our class. We had to go make things, forging and pouring metal, doing castings, pouring resins. Doing all that stuff. Well, when was the last time do you think any kids had that in school?
Actually, in school here in Australia, I'm now in Western Australia, in Rockingham, where I live. They actually they have carpentry, motor mechanics, and all that stuff in the high school. They do it all. Mm-hmm. They have what they call it's an introduction to trades, right? And now, even if you go for the TEE, but give you university level, you still got to do it, and so it's great. And they have cooking classes, and they go all the other stuff, And the only thing I don't like about school in Australia, we have to learn everybody else's history, not just Australians. We have to learn American history. You have to learn the British history, and it's like,
well, how else are you going to be welcomed into the club if you don't know who your host is?
Right.
Well, I know you're a wanker. I don't. You don't. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
It's not,
I'm just being endearing to my dear friend.
Yeah.
The only time we had anybody else's history is when we beat them at a war. That's when we got their history.
But let's face it. Ever since your Civil War, it's us Aussies that had to join in to help you. So
well, you guys need to get down by Cuba right now and help us out. Take care of that.
Oh my God! Oh, is that starting all over again? Is it? Oh my God! Yeah. Was it Putin's boys? Is it, or is it the Chinese doing it this time? What's the news?
There's a couple of ships and a sub supposedly showed up off the coast of Cuba, but they have an ally with Russia as long as
Yeah, they've always had an ally
go there. But we have a base there.
Yeah, it's on my bay, isn't it? Yeah, a holiday retreat, isn't it? They call it.
Well, the last I knew, we had a secret sub of ours show up and pop up to give them a little fright, and then the Canadian fleet sent down a few ships to help out. So we got a presence there waiting for them.
Yeah, we've always, in Rockingham, we've got a naval base here called Naval Base Stirling. It's the old island itself is called Garden Island, but the base is called Stirling Base, and we're constantly getting nuclear subs in from the States. You're seeing them all walk around in their white shirts with the dolphins, dolphin badges on their chest. So here we go. Yeah, and quite honestly, I just turned around and said, "You guys don't smell that bad," because I know when they're on the subs, they stink like mad because they're not allowed to use deodorant because the air scrubbers.
Well,
they say it's bad body odors on submarines. Didn't you know that? That's true, though.
well,
That's
how
true.
could that not happen in a sealed off, airtight, enclosed metal tube with a bunch of men in it?
Right.
I mean,
I'll let now
come
they
on.
have women on it now. Don't worry.
Well, I think that would be probably overall much more pleasant, but I'm thinking there's going to be some stinking going on.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
It is. Yes,
Um,
definitely.
so, Mr. Adam Zupardo, my old friend, and he was the engineer and helped me build not only the studio but the label, Intuitive Sound, has joined the chat, and I'm going to give
Is that the
him
guy from Wankers Anonymous?
Wankers Anonymous is one of the interview sets that we did with one of the artists.
Wonderful.
And he
Love it.
started, I saw him pop in and he said, Raholing, we used to do all these radio spots. You know, we do the show spots to promote our CDs and releases. So we were on doing a bunch of these, and we used to go in and record all of these. And I'd be sitting there going, you're listening to WKPR in Cincinnati, buttfuck. And then they go, what was that? And we do it 3 or 4 times. And Adam was engineering, you can hearing in the background going, Raholing, do it again. So, brother, man, thanks for stopping in. And also a shout out to him because he is a newly minted father. He's had his first child 3 months ago, Egan. And he is going through I've got this little human being that makes a lot of noise and takes a lot of attention. So he's going through that. Yeah.
Hey,
And
so when are we going to have when are we going to have a musical show, mate? Where we,
yeah, we need
everybody does a song. Everybody does, throws out, and Gerald can be the critic. You're allowed to say whatever you want. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know if you want that or not.
Yeah,
that's good. No. Hey, it's good to have a critical input. Got to be a critical input. I just want to see Robert do his lead guitar stuff because when he does it, he's in pain.
No, dude, that's stank based.
That's getting into it,
That is serious stank face, and that only happens. I mean, you are right to the extent that when you talk about pain, because when you get to the point where you can actually do something and do stank face instead of pain face, the pain face trying to get there ends up looking like your stank face. So you just kind of carry it forward.
Well, with me, I go through this really beautiful kind of melody, and all of a sudden I hit a bum note because my fingers don't go where they should do because of the arthritis. So I just kind of laugh it off. Why? I'm enjoying it, so I don't.
The trick of the trade is when you hit that bad note, you do it 2 or 3 times so they think it's actually part of the song.
Got it.
One of the things that I learned and just in music is, there's always say that there's never any wrong note, right? And that's what a lot of the classics, the Renaissance, the Beethoven's, Bach's, and Mozart's were thinking in that way. But Miles Davis, I think, kind of brought it home to the reality. And he said, a wrong note is only determined by the next note.
Actually,
right.
When I was actually texting, and I was talking to Phil Collins, which I have spoken to a couple of times, and I said to him, in one of the large concerts you're in, I think it might have been the concert for Africa, which he was in, the one where Queen was in what they call, what's it?
Cosmographica? Is that what you said?
No, it was a large concert in London, right, where they had satellites are all the way around the world, and it's
right.
Live Aid. Yes. And Phil Collins was actually playing. I actually said, I noticed you, Bill, when you're in that concert, you're actually playing your piano. And I said, you hit a bum note a couple of times. I said, you noticed, did you? And I said, yeah, you did. And he says, yeah, just keep going. Put a smile on your face. He says, people really don't care.
Well, and that's another thing that I learned. Well, from my grandfather on my mother's side is the one who started me on guitar. He played with Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys back in the 50s in Southern California and Texas and Oklahoma. And he was played like Chet Atkins. Couldn't read a note, but he knew how to find everything and play it like Chet Atkins. It was like, where did you get that, Grandpa? So he tried to teach me that, got me down that path. Fortunately, rock and roll came along and there was just fewer chords, fewer notes, and they were tasty. So
yes, Sarah, it was Wembley. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's see, we were talking about the playing of the music, and when you find the note and you don't know if it's going to be a good note or a bad note is only dependent on the next note. And while you're getting there, the really great players will make all kinds of mistakes and you'll never know it.
Yeah, they're called ad-libbing, don't they? I only ad-libbed. Hey, and I tell you, the classic person that was classic at doing that was Jimi Hendrix. He always used to, you listen to Jimi Hendrix songs, right, and music, and I tell you something now, you can say, hey, that's different to what the record was. And I tell you now, he constantly just goes ad-libs. It's all about feeling the mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and as Z says here, you play a note 3 times in a row, and it's called jazz.
Improv.
That's true. That's true.
Right?
Right. I mean, we've got to have that music. We've got to have that music, Chef. Honestly, that'd be
absolutely. In fact, I'm getting close to getting the whole feed sorted out so I can get what I want to be able to do is go direct through my audio interface, not with OBS and all this other stuff. I want to go audio and video are going into the same thing. Take this and make it so. Right. So it appears that it's doable. So I should have it done in the next, I don't know, hopefully early next week. And then we need to do some music, because in the share and tell I've got tonight, I actually do have a little bit of sonic satiation. A little music here, a little audio there, and so let's see. We're about halfway into getting this thing kind of sorted out, but more of the I don't know about that category.
Might be. We'll see about that.
That's right after I don't know about that. We'll see about that. So let's go ahead and start with a little show and tell here and see what you guys think about this. This is the one. Before we get into all of the heavy, hot stuff, I think we should all take a pause and, be able to just chill for a little bit and enjoy our four-leggeds doing what we would like to do when it's hot like it is outside now.
Good morning, everyone. Time for a swim.
Yeah, mine are hearing these guys barking. So would you get in that pool, Z?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go in that pool.
Hard to get me out of that pool.
Well, the thing is, if you go and swim in the ocean, I mean, hey, how many fish in the ocean? They all crap in the ocean, don't they? I mean, most countries pump their sewage. Most countries pump their sewage into the ocean, don't they?
Come on, you can do it.
Don't you just love them?
Well,
That was Huckleberry.
so I think that gives us a little bit of a refreshing kind of splashy thing to maybe take just a tinge of the heat off, because it seems to be hot in most places, and then
it's bloody
and
cold
then you got
here.
the humidity.
Then it doesn't get. Yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah, you're all bundled up down there because down there it's not hot.
Well, we don't get as cold as you guys get. You know, I mean, the coldest it's going to go this week is about 8 degrees on the future forecast. 8 degrees. It's going to be our coldest. We don't get below zero around Perth. Down the coast, yes, gets below zero. But apparently over in Canberra, our capital state, it's been freezing. You know, everything's gone white with ice. So, which is rare. I mean, we do get snow in Victoria and places like that, and but Western Australia, mate, it's just usually in summertime it gets about 42, 43 around Perth sometimes, you know. Celsius, which is probably about 112, something like that.
Yeah, and just over 100 in that range.
Yeah, but it's a very dry heat. It's not a humid heat. But the further north you go, the more humid it gets. And when you get to Darwin, I mean, it constantly rains during the summer months. It's the wet season. And that's where you get all the cyclones. Well, we call them cyclones this part of the world. You call it hurricanes. That yours.
Well, that's because yours goes backwards.
No, ours goes the right way. But they're all just as destructive, no matter which way they go. I mean, yes, our water goes down the sink clockwise. Yours goes down the sink anti-clockwise. Right? Yeah.
Well, it's just, you know, it's really all about how you flush.
True.
No?
True.
Am I wrong?
True.
Right? So it's
in Robert's case, it's how he's got the plunger going.
I have plunged a few for sure.
Yeah, so well, at least you don't throw those ones on the table, do you?
No. So it's winter down there. Is there any places where you get any accumulated snow?
Not in Western Australia so much. I mean, there's a place called Bustleton. They occasionally have what they call sleet, a little bit of sleet, you know, or something, you know, early morning frost, you know, where everything goes a little bit white. But no, we don't really get snow in Western Australia at all.
But even where you're at, B, you get accustomed to your weather, so it's still cold to you, though, right?
Oh, it is cold. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like for example, in the summertime when it's 40, 41, 42 degrees, like my wife's a Filipina, right, and of course all her family that's here. In the summertime, the first year they're freezing. In the summertime, they're cold because 32 degrees Celsius in the Philippines, it feels like, 48? Heavy humidity from the tropics,
right.
See?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're cold. And I mean, you always see people like that come from Europe or somewhere and they arrive here in Australia and they're walking around with jumpers on. You know, all we are in T-shirts and God, that's bloody hot. And they're all wrapped up with jackets and, you know, and I'm talking about wintertime, you know. I mean, get it right. In the summertime, they're cold if they come from the tropics, right? And they're wearing jackets. But in the wintertime, mate, they literally hibernate. They have about 3 levels of clothes on, and then it's staying in front of a heater, and But the thing is,
I remember in November one year, me and my friend went to Florida to this goof around, in Orlando. And everybody else had, sweaters and sweatshirts and stuff on. Here we are in shorts and tank tops.
Yeah.
So they obviously knew who the odd people out were,
Yeah.
They were cold and we were like, oh, this is nice.
But what we find in Australia is that what they call clear sky, cold night. Cloudy day, warm night. And the thing is too, here in Western Australia, we've got blue skies 92% of the year. And that's a fact. It's always, the winter days you go out there and there's not a cloud in the sky, just blue sky.
So I grew up, I was born in Southern California in the 50s and grew up there through the mid 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime somebody asked me, well, what would be the idyllic kind of place and childhood environment would you like to have? And I go, the one I did. Because it was Southern California in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And that's where it was, it got cranked up then. And that's where a lot of shit got started. The original liberal movement, the whole, screw the man, leave us alone, free love, sex, and whatever else.
And Californian sunshine.
and California sunshine, beaches, mountains, everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up in. And I'm like, y'all do that again. I'm good. If I invite others, come along and check it out, because it was the shit. Well, so my question is, if that is true, which it is, and part of the thing about California is that the weather's just spectacular 80% of the time.
Well, I had
so why aren't you, if you've got all that 90% sunshine and incredible weather, why isn't there people running and making a beeline and setting up shop down there? Well, isn't that the kind of environment where shit flourishes like we did in Southern California?
Well, from the age of 15, like I was raised up in Sydney, born in Sydney. Now, as a young adolescent, I was constantly at the beach surfing. I was into so many sports. So, I played ice hockey. I was doing rugby league. I was competition swimming, highboard diving. I was so active 7 days a week. My parents never knew where I was. Well, they did, but they knew where I was. But hey, I didn't come home when the lights went out. I used to get a clip across the ear if I did. But the point is, when in 1964, my grandfather passed away over in the UK. My father was demobbed my father was demobbed out of the Navy just after the war because my wife's a war bride, Anyway.
Well, real quick, don't mean to interrupt you, but I do. Sarah says she's asking, do you have seasonal UFO activity down there?
Yes.
So it comes with the seasons?
No. Well, let's put it this way. On a hot summer's night, right, more people are out and we seem to see more because they're having barbecues and that up in the seafront and they're out. They're not stuck in the houses. So, of course, people see more. I wouldn't say that's seasonal as in, there's more UFOs. It's that people see more during the summer months because they're out and about, outside, not inside.
That would make sense to me. Hello, gents.
Hi,
yes,
Clay.
welcome, Clay. The many men multimodal thing going on there. He has got the geezers and he's killing it. Clay, you are knocking it out of the park. Those are great. There were the one with the bongs. Put that one back up. That was the shit. Stay off my lawn. We've been known to get close to that, I think. There you go. Some
Yeah,
beers.
that seems to be more suitable for us. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch
Yeah,
of them
just
that have bongs in inconspicuous places.
Oh, God. Yeah.
yeah, I like that one. That's great.
Nice
But I
artwork,
thought
eh?
I added men and women to the prompt because there are women that join the panel. So I wanted to make sure there's some in there that actually had women in there
Nice.
too. So
Nice. Yeah, you should throw a couple of them in there, Heidi. One of these days, maybe even tonight, Sarah, if you'd like to come on. She is an incredible guest. She has no camera, so you just get to hear her. But she's got a great voice, and she doesn't mind calling it like she sees it. So she joins our other friend show, Intrepid Radio with Scotty Roberts, and we've been on a few times together. She's just a joy to throw into the mix. Mix a little estrogen in the mix of the testosterone.
Mhm.
Testosterone, is that right?
yeah.
So yeah,
They're a
that's
little
so actually, and that's the thing is my next item I'd like to share is just again to kind of set a tone and a mood, and for people to think and realize that in spite of what everybody tells you, go seek the one, find the guru in you, resonate, seek, and otherwise. It's all close, but it's missing the point is you're already is. There is no go to or go in, you just are. And it's an awareness change of that state of mind. And that's what becomes all of a sudden liberating in the metrics and the matrix and the field of imagination and all that stuff. That's how we work. And the problem is there's just typically too much shit. So I wrapped around it. There's too many, corporate things, societal, public, private, all the way things are supposed to work, right? But occasionally somebody comes along and says, I think I'd like to reframe that for you. So my next share is an example of what I think is some reframing. Let's see, is this it? Not that one. It's this one. All right, guys, kill our cameras here. So this is Masood Boomgard. And this is his take on being a guru in you.
Fuck your team's meeting and fuck teams. Your bullshit team's meeting could have been an email, but instead, there you are, pretending to be interested, while Michael from marketing takes a mighty shit, put his microphone unmuted. How the fuck do people still not know how to mute and unmute their microphones after all this fucking time? Fuck me. Say no to Teams meetings organized by lonely motherfuckers with nobody to talk to. And instead, fake a connectivity issue and do something joyful with your day. Fuck Teams. That is all.
I bet my wife would agree.
Well, there's a lot of truth in there, because how many times have we all just totally ran into and ended up where he was right there? Like, fuck this. I don't want, this isn't working. Can't hear you, G. You're muted.
Right there. Perfect example. I already muted myself and didn't even realize it. I was going to say, just like tonight, I was supposed to be broadcasting on Geezer Geeks, but I ended up broadcasting on Midwest Night Watcher. So I got people in the chat, but now I was watching the wrong channel. I was like, why isn't this going live? And I'm live the whole time on the other channel. So there you go. Perfect example, I guess.
Yeah, see. Apparently. Hey. So that was my next share. So now we did the show last Saturday it was last Saturday, and then we repeated the Monoliths Thursday with Michael Schratt. So this is an update to that, and it is covers some of the other monoliths and the history that they have gone through. So this is a timeline. Let me back this up here.
In Lilo and Stitch, aliens make their presence known with a spaceship. But what if in real life the announcement came in the form of an art installation? Yesterday, the Las Vegas Metro Police Department let folks on social media know about the appearance of a mysterious monolith on a trail north of the city. They wrote, "We see a lot of weird things when people go hiking," and asked, "How did it get up there?"
I've never seen this before. Always looks like a UFO pointing something down.
As you may know, this comes just 2 months after a man discovered another Washington monument-looking thing in Wales, and he said there were no footsteps around it at all.
What the heck is that?
And in 2020, many similar-looking structures were found across the world, starting with this beauty in the desert of Utah. It was spotted accidentally by wildlife officials while they were counting bighorn sheep from a helicopter.
Even going down there, they were nervous, like, were they going to get teleported to another dimension or something? Upon closer inspection, this is definitely a human-made object.
But could humans have then, in the coming weeks, also dropped off more mystery shapes in Romania, England, California, and Montana? Just kidding, that's from the movie Arrival. But some reports say that year there were around 24 discovered in just a few short weeks.
I guess this is the thing now, right?
Thus, with so many popping up in 2020 and now a few more in 2024, it makes you wonder, A, do aliens just love an election year? Or B, are we all being pranked in an admirably communal worldwide effort? Well, for the internet, the latter just is not as fun. One commenter on the Las Vegas Facebook post writing, quote, "I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens." Now, the only monolith I'm 100% convinced was made by aliens, this one, guys, constructed from gingerbread. I've tried many times to make a gingerbread house, and I've never got it to be 7 feet tall. What do you guys think?
Good point.
Well, Area 51.
I think they're all from aliens.
That's over there.
Yeah.
Aliens, declassifying UFO. Aliens. Yeah.
See?
It's
Thank
the
you,
most
Andrew.
logical
We have confirmed
answer.
it right here on
Yeah.
World News
Welcome.
Now.
The truth isn't
It's
out
cool,
there. It's
though.
in there.
How did it get there, though? Huh.
There were no footsteps.
Mystery deepens. Danny will keep following it for us.
So what do you guys think of the update there?
Yeah, I've seen them before. I mean, they're man-made. We all know that. I mean, I'm pretty positive about it.
How the hell do you help me understand? Help me understand how you came to that position.
Well, it's obvious. I mean, it doesn't look alien to me. It doesn't.
Well,
I don't know
maybe
what
it'll be
aliens
to
supposed
you,
to.
but-
Personally, I don't know what aliens are supposed to look like when it comes to things like that. But nah,
Well, so I have it.
I mean, it reminds me of the movie 2001.
You need special glasses to see them, apparently.
Well, I'd like to use more instead of the UFO thing and the UAP thing, which has become the EIO thing. I think the term should really be object of unknown origin, because the whole thing is to whether it's a disk or an anomaly, a phenomenon, right? But let's just call them 084s, like in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they're objects of unknown origin. And until you are able to study them and do all your thing with them, you don't know what you're doing or what it is that you're working with. So it's just part of this ufology thing that I'm tired of listening to myself talk about.
Yeah, ufology's gone down to the Googler, mate. I mean, it really has. I mean,
Speaking of,
so much crap. I mean, these days. I mean,
speaking of aliens, I think we may have a guest appearance from a tall white. I think he might be a humanoid. We'll find out if he's able to figure out which buttons to push. But I do have an update on the alien stuff as well.
I need to step away just for a couple minutes. I'll leave this banner up.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, Clay. Those are
Nice
great.
artwork.
Look at those things, man. They're just beautiful.
Yeah.
Holy
Jim.
shit.
Oh.
Holy shit. Can you hear me?
Shit. Unfortunately.
Yes.
Oh, good. I can go home now.
You're done.
No, I'm
There you go,
in San.
Jim.
I'm in San Diego, actually in Fallbrook, and Rosemary called me when I called her when I was in Yuma. The temps were like 114, and she said, "You said you weren't gone more than an hour, and the sky opened up, and the water in the pool is up within about a quarter of an inch of the top of the tile. So, which means we got 3 inches of rain today. That's what we get a year during monsoon. So,
Hello. It's summer there, isn't it?
it's fucking hot there. Yeah, it's this morning before I left, it was I think it was 108 already. But then the storms came through and I dropped down to the 70s, and I think sort of evened off in the high 70s. And thunderstorms all night. This is good. Tucson has been in a drought cycle for the last 10 or 15 years. On 2000, they broke records of rain, but normally you get during monsoon, you'll get something like 3.5, maybe 4 inches of rain from June 15th through September 30th. And in 2000, we got almost 14 inches of rain here. So it's the desert. I have a pool. I don't know if you looked at my Facebook post, but I think I posted the picture of the pool. That was shot last night or the night before last. And I have a misting system, and it's low humidity, so all is good. And
You need a monolith.
And as the senior geek of Geezer Geeks, that allows me some flexibility.
The old fart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm proud of it.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah. Like the old saying goes, I think, since I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. I think it still holds true.
Does that still work?
Sometimes, yeah. Hey, wake up. I know you're there. You pissed on my leg this morning. I was aiming over here and it went over there.
Hey, look up here.
You know, to look back and be able to laugh at it.
Hey, Jim, don't you find sometimes it's just better to have a good hot meal and a good night's sleep?
Oh, what's really good is having a good shit.
No problems there, mate. No.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I see that it didn't take long for Goodall to swirl this one down the toilet.
Well, at least it's not throwing it on the table.
Well,
hey,
might as well.
I was ready. I was heading out the door this morning about 8:30. I was just finishing my coffee, and Rosemary says the garage door is making a god awful noise. I said, "What the hell? What's a god awful noise?" Because I'm deaf, so I can't tell. So I went in the garage and turned it on, and it sounded like someone was firing machine guns at me. I turned it off. She says, "What's making all that noise?" I look around. I said, "Well, the spring that opens the door, the counterbalance broke sometime during. I heard a bang, but I looked around the house, didn't see anything. So, this is late at night, and that's what it was. So I called my neighbor, who's a contractor, and I said, "Hey, who fixes garage doors on Saturday mornings in a hurry?" Call Mickey. Here's his number. He was there in 15 minutes. It was $550, but I was able to get out of the garage. I mean, 3 of us could not lift the garage door open. It was just terrible. But I said, how long is it going to take you? He said, oh, about 20 minutes. And within about 20 minutes, he was done. He was done. And I was out the door. So
$1,000 an hour, right? I mean, $500. God.
Yeah, I mean, I have an appointment on Monday to do a video shoot for our Belize piece. Right now, Robert has seen the 2.5 minute clip.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And that's our puff piece. And we have.
Well, it's not puffed enough because Puff is not in it yet. That's what you're going to go do on Monday, right?
Absolutely. He said, bring a dark shirt or a jacket. Yeah, it's too friggin' hot, for a jacket. And so I'll put you. We'll be outside, but I'll put you in front of a green screen, and I'll have Belize right in the background. I'll have the jungle and everything else. So they won't be able to tell the difference, other than the fact that you won't be sweating nasty bugs. And the thing about it, I've laid on the trail for over an hour waiting for some of the scragglers to coming back on the Bataan Death March piece. That was the last Thursday we were there earlier last April. The temperature was mid to high 90s. The dew point was in the high 80s, low 90s, and no wind. I mean, dead calm. And we went back. They were going back 6 miles. I made it to about 3 miles into the jungle. And I said, I've gone through half my liquid. I'm not going any further unless you guys want to carry me back. So I just rested for a while and then headed back. And I didn't get bit once. I had some really good bug repellent, but which I got at REI, but I didn't get bit once. But we're all excited about going back. Like I say, I'm meeting with the cinematographer on Monday at his place. I got to find it, but thank goodness for Google Maps. And it's going to be a fun day. I've talked to Ian on a Zoom call, and but it's always nice to meet someone in person. Yeah, even that. He goes by the professor. He's that asshole. I mean, to know him, to meet him, is a real joy, and I do it. I have to admit, I do adore this son of a bitch, but I don't think he should know that.
Well, that Benjamin's on its way to you, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, and I knew instantly when I saw you on Mr. B's. Hey, and by the way, speaking about Mr. B's, how in the hell are you there, Terry?
Oh, I'm not so bad there, Jim. Another year older and deeper in debt, as they say. No, it's all good, mate. It's all good. I had a wonderful day yesterday and my birthday. So
you get laid?
Yeah. And,
What a dream, man.
Yeah. And, oh well. I'm just blessed. I have a good memory.
Really? Okay, I know you do.
Yeah.
Mine's slipping a bit though. I'm gonna tell you that now. So, yes.
Well, gentlemen, now that the Grand of the Pooh and the Pa has arrived, I've got a couple of other things I'd like to share. Jim, you missed the update on the Monoliths. I'll send you the link. It's or you can watch it on the replay. But it's interesting because they brought all of the ones that we were talking about when we were just looking at the one. They brought them all together, and they said, "Here's this," and you could see the different iterations of them. So that's pretty interesting. So you missed that, and then some other monkey business. But now we're going to dive into the real nuggets that need to be asked. Questions come up when these things are talked about, and it's time to talk about them. So I'm going to start with, where is it there? This one. And there we go. Oh, hold on. So this is Voyager. Remember Voyager 1, Voyager 2?
Yes.
They went out and they went past the edge of the solar system. So one is now 15 billion miles from Earth, and it's still sending data. Literally 50 years later. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, and it's transmitting a 1.5 watts of transmitting power.
Mm-hmm.
Philco Ford Western Development Laboratories built a lot of Voyager 1. As my dad was director of engineering then. And as kids on bicycles, right at that wonderful juvenile delinquent stage when you go from, he's such a nice kid, oh, that fucking monster. We were just. I have an echo. So someone has.
Oh, that's because I turned on the sound for the screen share.
Oh, no.
And we don't need it right now. So hold on a second. Let me fix that. That's right, because you get those weird echoes when we're screen sharing the audio.
Yeah. And I'm on my MacBook Pro, so I'm on the road. Where the hell was I?
Okay, you got echo now?
No.
Check one.
Yeah, check no's good.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah.
So this is you think that how far long do you think this will go? It's gone 15 billion, far exceeding anything that it was designed for. It's still apparently functioning and hasn't been picked off by all of the crap in the cosmos. I mean, right?
You know, one of the funny things when you look at movies that depict the asteroid belt, I mean, in front of you are thousands of chunks of rock, and any one of them could destroy the craft. The fun thing about being a docent up at Kitt Peak National Observatories, you learned a lot of things that you had no clue of. And one of them, they said, you know what the average distance between pieces of rock in the asteroid's belt is? The average distance between?
I'd say about 300,000 miles.
667,000 miles.
Yeah, right.
On average. So you either have to be incredibly unlucky or just a real piss poor navigator.
Or it's your time and the cycle is going to take you out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
So this is quite interesting. So again, my question to the esteemed League of Extraordinary Human in Carbon form. How long do you guys think this thing will keep going? Jim, what do you think?
I think that I read somewhere within last week that they figured that Voyager's plutonium power plant said it's probably good for another 15 years.
Another 15 on top of the 50 it's been out now?
Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be there for its diamond jubilee.
Awesome, isn't it?
So
it's not showing.
How long does it take for the signal from the actual satellite from Voyager to arrive to Earth? Is it 15 days or something like, or 15 hours or something like that?
I think it's 14 or 15 days, I believe.
I heard it was like it took 3 or 4 months for them to get these.
Hey, we have a thing called Siri. Hey, wake up, bitch. Fix me a beer. Yeah.
You are now talking to Alexa. Who's Siri?
Yeah,
It's funny. All right. No, I mean, that's just an incredible piece of American ingenuity. I mean, it's still going.
Right.
Hubble was supposed to have a short life. Most of the Mars rovers were hoping for 30 days. Some of them are in 12 years, 13 years. The helicopter was just, hey, let's see if this thing works. It had 22 or 23 flights.
So let me just ask you this, Jim, because the metrics in me got tantalized by what you just said. They designed it for one thing, and it way exceeded, I mean, beyond what their wildest expectations were, and has gone even beyond that. That's what's happening with Voyager 1, the rovers like you were talking about. Is that because they were over-engineered?
Yes, or they were designed where there was no option for failure.
So that would indicate that whatever they designed and however they implemented it, they did a pretty damn good job in spite of not being sure.
Correct. Now they had, I read where they had to shut down either Voyager 1 or 2 and do a complete reboot or reset of its aiming instructions, because it had started to drift away, and I'm not sure if they use a gyro for stabilization, but there was a way for them to lock onto a specific star. Now, as you move 15 billion miles from Earth, I mean, that's not a long way as far as the universe is concerned. But the stars that were in one spot when you're looking at them 12, 15 billion miles ago, they may be a little bit different configuration. That may have screwed up their astro tracker.
Well, do you think they got GPS out in space? No, they're all on. And these things are on just flight trajectory. They're not. Yeah. They're just slinging it from the juice they had once before.
Yeah, but they are. I'm getting static. Yeah, they're positioned in a certain way, so their transmitted receive antenna is always facing towards Earth. And but again, they transmit and receive on 1.5 watts. I mean,
yeah, and it helps, and it always helps if you read the article, because it does say here, it says over 15 billion miles, 24 billion kilometers from Earth. It takes about 22.5 hours for a signal to travel from Earth to the spacecraft, and another 20 and another
at the speed
22,
of light. Yeah,
well, it's a radio wavelength, right?
Yeah,
and I'm not sure which one it is, but it's radio that they're over that spectrum, right? Over the radio frequency spectrum, probably somewhere in the terahertz or something. But it takes 22.5 hours for a signal to reach Earth, and another 22.5 for the response to return. So it only takes a couple of days to communicate back and forth. And the other thing I caught that I didn't pay attention to earlier is they had just received, they started getting messages again in April of this year. So there was a bunch of joy and adulations and wonderfulness, because all of a sudden here, this thing starts sending it again. They start receiving it. So it's not like we have, full telemetry communications with the device out there. The fact that it can still be reached, or it can reach us, tells us at least that some of it is still out there, right? I mean, who knows? Maybe as we're heading into the Star Trek series, the movie about Voyager.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this, what I was saying earlier, because my dad worked at Philco Ford, they developed a good part of Voyager, but they also developed the tracking antennas for Voyager. And they used to build them right there in Sunnyvale, right on San Antonio Road and Bayshore Freeway. See big, huge 40 or 50 foot parabolic antennas.
Antenna, yeah.
And they had a platform up in the Coast Mountains that they calibrated the antenna on. Fortunately, the statute of limitations is already gone. I mean, we went up there on our bicycles, and we went over. We climbed under the fence, and there was a couple of jack screws. So you turn those a couple over here, and two of those a couple over there. And my dad didn't know what we did, and thank God he died before, and he never did find out. But they were going absolutely crazy. Figure why the thing was calibrated on Friday, and now this Monday something's all haywire. Well, it turns out there was some pranking, not necessarily vandalism, because we didn't break anything. But that was the beginning of my juvenile delinquent period.
Well, can you imagine, Jim? One of the other things I just noticed in this article as well, that's worth covering, that there is an extraterrestrial message in the golden records that were placed on said Voyager. And the records were designed to communicate the story of our world to any extraterrestrial beings who might find them. The content of the golden records was curated to present a snapshot of life on Earth. There's probably a Jim Goodall like cameo head somewhere in there. On Earth, reflecting the planet's diversity, culture, and technological achievements. Each golden record contains 115 images depicting a variety of subjects, including humans, animals, plants, architecture, and landscapes, as well as scientific and technical diagrams. Sure, give them all of our blueprints to the way we do our shit. What could go wrong there? Additionally, the records included a selection of natural sounds such as thunder, bird songs, and the calls of whales. Oh, let's see what they dropped in the music load. Don't hurt us. To convey the essence of human culture, the records feature a rich assortment of music from different cultures and eras, spanning classical, jazz, folk, and traditional pieces from around the planet. Okay, well, as long as they got the jazz in there, and there's got to be some, there's some rock and roll in there. Do you think? I think Elvis made it on the
Elvis, and Elvis, Little Richard, and Chuck Berry.
Right. There's got to be some of that in there. Maybe a little.
Oh, yeah.
Bessie Smith, and so.
Well, that's a different era. I mean, that's more blues than.
So the greetings are done, include spoken greetings, or the records include spoken greetings in 55 different languages, from ancient Sumerian to modern languages like English and Mandarin, as well as a greeting from Kurt Waldheim, the former Secretary General of the United Nations. There are also printed messages from U.S. President Jimmy Carter and NASA Administrator James Fletcher. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I had this whole Voyager vibe just kind of resonate through me, thinking, I think they may have been a little predictive in that movie.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the next article here.
Now, 15 billion miles is just like a speck in the scope of like the universe, right? Like that's not even close to another even body out there.
That we know of. I mean, that's one of my pet peeves, Clay, is that our ability to measure shit is really got a lot of refining and cleaning up and fine tuning to do. We can't depend on anything that we measure. We measure a lot of shit, but we're not good at figuring out what those measurements mean on a host of different subjects. And I'll just go ahead and toss the main culprit afoot right now: climate change, and all of that. The complete fear and disinformation and selective use and manipulation of data in that community is off the charts.
What two words describe climate change? To me, bullshit comes to mind.
Well,
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, the way it's used is bullshit. The fact that it is just self-evident. Climate changes. Okay, yeah, okay, great. When you can explain all the weird shit, let's just go back to the end of the Ice Age, which all sciences agree on the timing and the structure and how it changed. Go explain that, because nobody's got an explanation for that. There is nothing that is demonstrably empirical information that people can wrap their minds around and all collectively agree. Things like the sun rises and sets is one of those things. Everybody kind of goes, yeah, we all got that one. Everything else that is not empirically obvious and observable by yourself is nothing more than somebody else's speculation of what it is and the way that they've decided to measure it and create a metric of it and give it delineation and distinction as something unique with a pattern. And then we toss that into our pattern recognition processing machine, which is what our mind does. That's how we learn, is the connection and the relationship, the links in patterns to one another and their individual uniqueness. So we don't know shit. I'm sorry I went down that, Clay, but thank you very much for pushing that button that clearly needed to come out.
Slap his hand next time his finger gets near that button.
I think the new term these days is cheap fake.
Right.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, let's go to this next article here. Again, relating to out there and about and what the hell's going on. China's dropping their own little bots on the moon.
They want to claim it.
And they're on the far side, too.
Yep, on the backside.
I understand that China and Russia have a thing where they're going to be building a base on the far side of the moon.
If the aliens let them.
Oh, they have the aliens let them. And the funny thing is, the same time I heard that was around the same time I heard that the U.S. was also going to put up a space station around the moon as well.
You can't beat good competition, can you?
Well, apparently the Chinese are, they're moving ahead with their own agenda. They're doing the far side of the moon, which there's a whole bunch of evidence that nobody wants us to see, because clearly there's a lot of shit back there that has obviously been photographed, but has not been released. And there's little glimpses here and there. Well, there's little glimpses of shit here and there, but at least the Chinese are going over there. And, when they first did their original landing pictures, they were basically uncensored. And that's one of the things that I really appreciate, at least from what it seems to me, the philosophy of the moon and the way that the people who run the countries look at it. Between Russia and China, they are all about the alien stuff. They don't give a shit. They think they might even be there. And they're more interested and ready to meet them or engage with them. Of course, they most definitely already have. But just staying with the narrative for the general population, could that be a possibility? Could it be that and I think I wouldn't surprise me. I haven't heard anything particular, but it wouldn't surprise me if Russia's involved with this moon landing. I don't see anything in the article here about it, but
that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, if they ever discover oil on the moon, we'll be there tomorrow.
Oh, there's stuff way more valuable than that in the South Pole. There's enough H3, it's helium, to power our planet for a couple of centuries or more.
Yep, H3.
What's that, Clay?
Yeah, I heard that as well, that there is an amount of helium-3 on the moon, And that's why there's such a race to get back up there.
I'm thinking that there's some shenanigans afoot, gentlemen. So let's move on to the next one. This is
and think about whoever it is that meets the aliens first, they're going to have an advantage over anybody else. You know, I mean, assuming that they're friendly, you know, and just don't, you know, eat them or something. But if you befriend them first and get that technology before your enemies, I mean, come on, who knows what you can do?
Yeah, Sarah's calling it here. We didn't go back since we found out it wasn't made of cheese. And Sarah, you also, it's interesting that you mentioned that because that is actually up
I know
after
you all
this.
missed me when I was gone.
When you were gone?
Well, personally, I don't think aliens will give any technology, seeing our own track record over the last century. So we seem to weaponize everything. So
in fact,
I don't think the aliens will be that stupid, to be honest.
Where is the Harvard article?
Yeah, you need a couple more links opened up there.
Yeah, you think? Think I got enough up there? I had the that Harvard article that Sarah mentioned in the chat, and apparently I did away with it. Or is it this one? Yeah, there it is. The Harvard cryptids extraterrestrial, say that by yourself, from outer space are living among humans. So they're crypto aliens. And apparently the summary is that they basically, according to the study, these crypto-terrestrials could manifest in various forms. Human crypto-terrestrials, descendants of ancient human civilization that once thrived but now exists in a diminished state. Hominid or pteropod crypto-terrestrials. Non-human civilizations potentially evolved from terrestrial animals, adept at stealth and concealment. And former extraterrestrial or extraterrestrial crypto-terrestrials. Boy, that got stuck for a second.
Say that two times faster.
I'm going to try that. That's worth it. That's a challenge. Former extraterrestrial or extraterrestrial. Former extraterrestrial or extraterrestrial crypto-terrestrials. Beings originating from outside Earth or from the distant future, assimilated into our environment. And the last one is the magical crypto-terrestrials. Entities with mystical attributes akin to folklore creatures like fairies or nymphs, interacting with the human world in non-technological ways. Well, let's toss that little nugget on the table. What do you think, gents? This is coming from Harvard.
I can't even say it.
Unless they got facts, it's only speculation.
Well, what do you think of the groups they got here? It kind of describes all the stuff that we have heard about, but then now they've got a name for them or a class for them.
In my latest documentary I put out yesterday, I talk about sea creatures, sea lives, and if aliens are living in our oceans. And it covers all things like octopus, how intelligent they are. Now, they've been studying that they actually think in a way that they can use tools, you know, themselves. They use things to help themselves. And as I said, they can make tools to achieve things, and they can escape from difficult places, and they can camouflage themselves.
Well,
they adapt to the environment they're in. But you've got to realize there's less than less than 10% of the world's oceans that have been surveyed. And yes, I believe there's life in our oceans that are far more advanced than us. And they've probably been here before humans, Homo sapiens sapiens, be honest. That's my opinion.
Well, and that was enlightening. What do you, Gee, what do you think? I'll drop this and then you guys see what you think of this. The delineation of descendants of ancient human civilizations that once thrived with non-human civilizations potentially evolved from terrestrial animals to beings originating from outside Earth or the distant future, or entities with mystical attributes akin to folklore creatures like fairies or nymphs. I'd like to meet some of those, interacting with the human world in non-technological ways.
Well, there is, stories of nymphs and fairies and elves that go back, thousands of years, amongst other things.
Yeah, you got Greek mythology talking about Neptune with his trident and with lightning bolts and stuff like that. In Greek mythology,
They were lasers.
yeah, well, possibly, and he was the king of the ocean. So obviously, he came from the ocean. And then you can go back again, talk about Atlantis. There's a lot of interesting theories. That's all speculation again.
I lost it. What the hell did I do with it? Okay, we did that one. I had it and I lost her. Anyway, it's in here somewhere. Look at us. Look, we're in stereo. All right. So let's hold on one second. Let's stop this. Hold on. I'm going to come right back here. I have to click this, click that, and send Sarah the link. She may join us if she wants to jump in. So now, Sarah, my friend from the that I do other shows with,
okay.
She's awesome. You guys will really enjoy her. All right, so here we go. One of the things that I have gone on about, and you guys just don't seem to bite enough, is I think some of the most important shit that's going down is going down on the moon. And there's a channel in particular, Bruce Sees All, who I think is doing some of the best work on what's going on in the moon. And this is one of his shorts. So, I think did I turn the sound on? Jim, you're going to get an echo, so don't say anything.
All right, fucker.
When I do this, because I got to turn the sound on.
I heard that, Jim.
You're going to hear more than an echo there, Jim. All right. So you guys have a look and listen and tell me what you think of this.
Bruce Sees All.
NASA says explosions on the moon are nearly impossible to capture. We see an explosion here that's going to appear and a flash that's stationary, while this object, unknown creature, living or not, is moving across the surface of the moon, and we see a lot of smokes and hazes. The bright illumination of this object in the lunar atmosphere makes all the light travel through the clouds that are over the surface, and it brightens the whole image up. If I am filming an object, UFO, landing on the surface of the moon, plunging into hazes and smokes, have we ever seen a moon landing? Where's all the smoke and haze in the landings? I can say that there are craft of different size, not hundreds of thousands of kilometers wide, but anywhere from 1 to 4 miles wide, including the light that's emanating around it. You're looking here at a light that is a couple of miles wide. You're also looking here at a light that is a couple of miles wide. The fires can be seen activating, most likely for a soft descent, as it plunges its nose into the hazes.
Everything I say here is not fact. It's my opinion. Right? Even what I tell you about space and what I look up and even what NASA tells me, it's just all opinionated. And there's nothing wrong with that. But seeing these lights and many different captures on the surface of the moon, it's just, even this frame here.
When John Lear asked me to keep looking for more lights coming out of these craters, I had already seen hundreds of them. Here's Copernicus crater with the UFO exiting it. Hundreds of UFO sightings over to Mare Fecunditatis, just over top of Mare Imbrium, alongside of a UFO exiting a crater inside of the Mare, at the bottom of the Mare. On the left, a UFO fleet flying by at high rates of speed. The UFO lights that are buzzing around Earth could actually be coming from the inside of the moon. Everyone says the smoke are natural dust on the surface, but I think they have partly due to the movement of these creatures that land and take off and let off gases into the lunar atmosphere.
Theophilus crater. Theophilus crater.
There's a bridge on the right and a shadow just underneath where the UFO took off. Did he leave the tunnel or the inside of Theophilus crater? Live visual proof right here.
Theophilus crater.
So, what did you all think about that? And welcome, Sarah. Well, she was in.
Interesting.
Where'd you go? Try again, Sarah. You were in.
I don't know about that.
I saw her in there. So what do you guys think of Bruce's work there?
Well, there's no atmosphere on the moon to speak of. I think you agree with that or disagree with that?
Well, there is enough to where whatever we've sent there is able to land, and there does seem to be
gravity.
At least from
that's just gravity. There's no atmosphere though.
But there apparently is something, because if Kubrick got it right, and as astronauts were dancing across the surface, you could see little kicks up of dust and stuff that would float. And I don't think that was all gravity. I think there is some modicum of an atmosphere there, but it's certainly not nothing or anything that we could live on. But his images are showing other kinds of shit, some weird shit. What do you think of those things? that are taking off out of the craters and flying across the surface.
It's been speculated forever. I mean, ever since we first went to the moon, there was some speculation that our astronauts. The reason we didn't go back after 17 was because we were told not to come back.
Well, I've got a whole nother one I don't have queued up for tonight, but
I thought you were prepared.
Well, I am. It's just I wasn't going to go that nugget toss that you put on the table there, because the whole idea of the moon being an actual inhabited, purposely put there observation point and post is not only does it make sense, but everything we keep finding out that we find out we can't know about it says that apparently it's being run by somebody else because there seems to be someone else in charge of how far we can go. But so let me show this next one, because we're going to get Sarah. I hope you're still trying. I don't see you in the waiting room or coming in yet, so keep trying. So this next one, it's not just, this is another one of Bruce's. Let's go here and go there. So these are some lunar bases that he has isolated. So check this out.
Lots to show, so little time. No, it's not just about applying a negative. I talk about a lot of the research throughout what I do. I also talk about how I do it, right? So these white objects are blinding to our eyes, but what we are looking at is a whole group of objects of different shapes and forms, different heights and elevation, and even a massive cliff of a dugout area with other objects inside. And that's what we're looking at right here. Now you're going to say, Bruce, I can't see anything. Of course not. Already converted. Now another conversion as we convert it to look at the surface quite simply. Let's do that right now. So we'll convert this, and you can see that it's the same image you're looking at, that there's a light source, and you could not see the high rising objects in the center, nor could you see that hole there. Coming from these structures, objects, anomalies, you have a lot of brightness and of course smoke coming from them. And this is obscuring the whole surface as it travels along, wind current or not, or like William said, a member of this community says, like I've said many a times, right, that they're smoking the surface, but he believes, and looking at some of what I'm showing, they are really possibly smoking the surface, like different areas where, smokers are on the surface, and it's absolutely not crazy. So why is it that our eyes do not see the real picture? Well, listen, it's quite simple. I'm going to revert it back. Look, you're going to literally see the surface, and that hole becomes hidden. Tell me that's not a camouflage. It's perfectly shown as I'm showing it to you here. And that fills in all the holes. So wherever you see white like that on the surface, there are holes and descending levels under that. So they descend into the levels, whoever, and this is confirmed, right? Like even if I can't confirm who they are, we still know that they are there, and there are structures. So what we can confirm, someone lived on the moon, or someone still is, or someone lived there in ancient civilization and aliens went back to excavate it, or it's us. Maybe we are the aliens. I say it all the time. So the conversion, as you literally see one of the conversions, no manipulation here there. We're doing negative images since the 1950s. And I don't know if you know what you're looking at. I'm sure you do. I'm looking at it on a small enough screen, 30 inches, and I can see 3 to 4 different levels, light source there, the smokes and hazes all over the place. I think it's pretty obvious.
You enjoying this, Jim?
Somebody asked,
Yeah.
lots of variation. Somebody asked me, Bruce, the tower, I have a hard time seeing it. Did you flip the moon upside down? How come it doesn't look the same when you zoom up straight up? Kepler crater. At the end of the line of Kepler crater, one of its lines, you have the tower and that base-like object. I flipped it around to show it to you, but I'm showing you how to find it. And you can see zooming in Kepler crater, Aristarchus there. So the big crater beside Aristarchus, go out to the longest line of Kepler, right there in the bottom center, the biggest crater, and you can see this tower at the end there, which we're going to flip around so we can see a lot better. And this base, like the obvious, that does look like Area 51, Susan Ravella. What do you think? So we're going to zoom in and we're going to take our time. Like, why should I run through this? A lot of you say, take your time, Bruce. People were bored, guys, when they came here in the past. They were like, yeah, big deal. You found a base on the moon. Okay, move on. Like, what's wrong with everyone? These are incredible things. In the rectangle there with the Aristarchus, Kepler, at the end of the line of Kepler, you can see that tower and the base-like object. We zoomed in a little bit closer now, taking our time so that we can see the area properly. They really don't look like crater formations or natural formations. Beautiful Aristarchus there, which the browns we can always see there. Lots of activity inside of Aristarchus crater. There's even towering objects inside of Aristarchus crater. There's that object. So you're going to say, well, it doesn't look like a tower, Bruce, but it does look like a base. So when we turn it around, the base will still look like a base, but will look different. But the tower with the smokestack at the end. And again, this could be a chimney or whatever. And this is a theory. This is what many people say. We give names to certain things that we see on the moon because we want people to understand what we're looking at. We'll call it the duck. We'll call it the wall, the shard. It's so that you understand what we're looking at or what the person is trying to actually explain. There's no forcing here. Like I say, the ones that don't see what I am showing, don't feel bad. Don't feel that you're less smart than me or anyone else. We each have different perceptions, but I am more than happy to share these objects with you all. Right? Let's flip it around now. Thanks again for listening in, everyone. So really interesting. Let's say it is a tower. Let's just quite simply say, look at the anomaly, and it is. Let's zoom up on that, and let's take a look at that. And that object. So on the left, you can imagine a smokestack or a chimney or whatever you can imagine. Contribute to the ideal. You can share it in the comment section. Like I said, we each have our own perception of reality. So maybe I'm looking at something that looks like a tower and you're seeing like a sports car. I mean, let me know. This is concerning me, especially that object on the right. It looks like cement leak, just like an Area 51 base. Obviously, and listen, we're not just theorizing here. We're actually looking at a visual proof in front of us that there are objects on the surface that are oddly not looking natural, right? So there's even a base on that one, the bottom of the base, and there's the literal lunar base. But then you'll say lunar base, well, where's the buildings, Bruce? Oh, hey, didn't say I saw any buildings, just a cutout landing area or some type of area where there are bright surfaces. They're working there, doing something possibly. I'm only saying what I'm seeing. And again, I have my own opinion. Kepler crater, you can see it right there. That line goes down, and that's how you find it. You're upside down now, and you see Aristarchus over on the left. And we'll try to push it a little bit to get in to see what they look like. But just straight up, taking my time here for you yourself to look at this. You could see the smoke leaving the object, whatever it is. And on the right, you can see that everything aligned up. The light source is inside of, I think it's ridiculous how obvious it is that all these objects are constructed and a manipulation of the entire surface of the moon, where people say, well, they're hiding the bases. No, they're really not hiding anything on the surface. It's that people don't understand what they're looking at. And as at the beginning, and you come to understand it, especially when I got the telescope, I said, no. There's something going on there. One last little zoom up on it, everyone, so that we can all see what I was talking about. Hey, I thank you all for the interest to this channel. More videos on the way. So let's just take the time to look at it a couple more seconds while we zoom up. Can you see the square base on the left, depending on the size of your monitor? When you get a chance to look on a bigger screen, just do so.
Yeah,
and look
at
over
this
to the right,
circle around here.
circular angle. And the more I look at this, guys. All right. So somebody asked me, bring down the
going on down
exposure,
here?
go all out. Never mind what people are saying. I do it all the time. Let's do it now. Just like bringing down the light to look inside of a light bulb, to be able to see the filament and the spark between the two little filaments. Imagine how hard that would be. Well, this is what the ideal is of what I'm doing. Just bringing down the exposure, looking at dark surfaces of the moon sometimes to be able to see clearly the bright refractive objects. Names missing on this video, but Paul Sabo and Pat Crossar, thanks for gifting out the memberships to help this channel grow.
Interesting.
All right. What did you guys think about that?
I thought it was interesting. It's been rumored for a long time that there's a lot of activity on the moon, both on all around the moon. I'd like to know what if those encounters are what canceled out Apollos 18, 19, and 20. That's the only reason there's 3 Saturn V's complete still around: Huntsville, Houston, and Cape Canaveral. So there's a reason for it. It didn't make any sense. I mean, it was getting to be blasé. Half a dozen guys going to the moon. Big effing deal. Well, it is a deal, especially since the last guy to go up there went up 50 years ago.
Well, as far as we know.
As far as we know, correct.
I noticed that one of those craters was over illuminated. It looked more like a dome than a crater.
That was the one that he was talking about on the left. I tried to get my mouse around it to point out what he was talking about. And I looked at that one. I said, "Well, what's going on with that? That had a nice little swirly cue coming off of it. It's like, what made that? That doesn't, It
was one perfectly round and it was fully illuminated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so I think there's more, with China going up there, Pakistan's, or was it India? India tried to land on the South Pole, and they apparently, some of this stuff. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if that crash and burn is really a cover for we got there and we ain't going to tell anybody what we're finding. We're going to tell them it's Law's mission, and like Voyager, one day down the road, all of a sudden this incredible amount of data will show up on a drive somewhere. People go, "Oh, look, it was true. My crazy uncle wasn't a tinfoil hat nut job after all. He was just hanging out with Goodall and had, poor influences,
Yeah. And also, too, Elon Musk's starships have been, heavy lifters have been taken off more regularly lately. Have you noticed?
Oh, he's been knocking them out.
Yes. So
he had two launches in one day.
Yeah. So there's more going on there than what's been said. I'll tell you that now.
Yeah. The one out of Vandenberg, which you can see the plume in Tucson from the SpaceX heavy lift.
What they call them? Is it the heavy lifters or something they call, or some name like heavy?
Yeah. Heavy lifter. They're heavy. Heavy something. Well, along those lines, what we're seeing, obviously, whatever it is, whatever Bruce is finding, and there's another guy that does a Mars anomalies, and he does some amazing shit with Photoshop, Jim. You'd love, because he shows you what he's doing to make all the alterations to bring out things and uncover what's actually going on in there. So he's great. But part of this is that there's a whole concept of there's this energy change afoot. We're going from the petrol model and the carbon model to an etheric or a water-based or a scalar or plasma or any number of H3, any number of even hydrogen. any number of things are about to fundamentally transform the energy sources that we have in our society. Now, you guys have heard of Billy Carson, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Forbidden Knowledge.
I've
So,
met-
you know,
I've met him.
he's been out knocking it out all over the place, dropping shorts, dropping docs, doing shows, doing award events. Him and Jimmy Church have been doing a lot of stuff together. Well, recently he was on with Patrick Bet David. You guys know who he is?
No.
Patrick Bet David. Have you seen his show?
No.
Okay. He's superb, highly recommended. So anyway, Billy goes on with Pat, and listen to this conversation. If I share it properly, where the hell am I? Share, and there we go. Oh, dude, why is it that clicking the right button is always a challenge? Why is that? All right, listen to what Billy and Pat say here about scalar energy and weapons.
Nikola Tesla once said the following. He said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Yeah.
What do you think he meant by this?
Oh, man, that's powerful. Powerful statement. It's one of the brightest minds in the universe. What he's saying is that when you think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, you're now tapping into the essence of the nature of reality. That this reality that we're living in is an illusion. We have the illusion of solidity. Everything is really a frequency. Everything is made of light, and light is also a frequency, right? So this microphone in front of me looks like a solid object. As a matter of fact, it looks like I'm actually touching it, but I never actually touched this mic. What happens is this mic is made up of a wave of potentials. They're in superposition of each other, okay? And when I look down at this mic, my consciousness collapses those waves into the illusion of solidity. It's light waves slowed down. My brain has a capability, and your brain has a capability of creating a collapsing frequency wave that collapses this into what appears to be a solid object. When I touch it, I don't even touch it. You never touch anything. The electromagnetic frequency of the electrons orbiting the atoms in your fingers are repelling the electrons orbiting the atoms in the microphone. Okay, so you don't even touch anything. That's electromagnetic repulsion. This whole world, this whole realm, just like the ancients say, is a dream world, sleepy time. This is an illusion. And what Nikola Tesla is saying, when we begin to understand the nature of reality is frequency and vibration, and through different frequencies and vibrations, you can create a realm known as our universe.
Who do you think he was? You think he was an alien? You think he was a regular guy? You think, what did he have access to that, you know, made him come up with so many different inventions that eventually JP Morgan first is funding him? Then he's realizing, wait a minute, this guy's going to put all the oil industry out of business. My biggest customers, let me stop funding the guy. Yeah. You know, and then he goes out of business. Who do you think Nikola Tesla was?
I think he was an incredible human being. I don't have any research material to give me anything other than he was a human being, right? And we know he had a mother because he left a note to his mother right when he died about the fact that he felt like, you know, he had been pretty much abused his whole life. But he had the strange ability to do thought experiments. Thought experiments are incredible things, something that I experiment with myself. But he takes these thought experiments and he creates these inventions in his mind. He saved a lot of money on engineering and production because he would create these things in his mind. He would see the process in his mind. He would even turn them on and see if they worked. And if they didn't work, he would know. So he'd only create things that actually worked, but he was doing it all within his consciousness. So he had tapped into a higher level. This man was on another level altogether. He was a high thinker, probably one of the highest functioning savants this world has ever seen.
Who else would you put at his level?
Man, whew. Well, you know, beneath him would be Albert Einstein. I mean, you know, he again did thought experiments. Plato. There's just so many great
beneath
minds out
him.
there.
So you have him at the top.
Yeah, I have him at the top.
You have him at the top.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the story with John G. Trump and what happened with him? Have you heard that story? No. Oh, let me read this. Okay. I'm curious to know what you'll say about this. So January 9th, 1941, 2 days after he dies, Fred Trump, which is Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump's brother, John G. Trump, the FBI calls him to determine if any of the belonging in Tesla's estate would be dangerous if found in enemies' hands. After 3 days of investigation, his brother says there's no risk. And then still they took boxes and boxes of stuff that he had. And, where they kept it to themselves. And some of the stuff we may know about, some of the stuff we don't know about. And this leads to a documentary recently that came out by Stephen Greer. I don't know if you saw that or not. The Last Century or The Lost Century.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, it's great. If you've seen, okay. So the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951 that has roughly 6,000 patents that are in there, kept from us, where they have a structure. I may, butcher some of the numbers, that they'll pay you 75% of what the patent they think is worth. But if you ever sell it or use it, you'll go to jail, felony, all that stuff. How much access to technology and information do you think the government has, or maybe something above even the government that none of us even know about, that maybe Nikola came up with or somebody else came up with?
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of Nikola Tesla's inventions already done, produced, and tested. We know that he came up with the scalar weapon, and they already used the scalar weapon. We actually integrated that into different radar systems. As a matter of fact, the thing that brought down the UFO, the famous UFO from 1947 in New Mexico, right, the Roswell incident, that was a scalar beam that came from the United States military, most likely engineered or reverse engineered from Nikola Tesla's documents. They discovered that scalar weapon, it wasn't really used as a weapon at first. It was a radar system. They discovered that it disoriented these craft and brought them down. In some weird way, it disoriented their ships. I believe that's how we began to figure out how to bring these things down, capture them, and reverse engineer them. I think the government has a lot of technology that they've been holding back from the general population for several reasons. One reason is for national security and global security. I can agree with that 1,000%, because there's a lot of people out here that if they got their hands on some of this technology, would try to utilize it to take over the world. I mean, that's just a known fact because it's the nature of mankind. The next thing is also monetary capitalization. How do you take this technology? They want to, of course, weaponize it, make money there. Then they want to break it down for civilian use and then capitalize on it there as well. So you have the combination between the two. Monetizing in military is weaponization, and then monetizing and capitalization in the civilian area. And then the third thing is drawing out technologies as long as you possibly can. Keep lying about peak oil. Keep lying about resources and running out, and we're getting droughts, and there's no more waves versus there's no more coal, and make up these lies, and then so we got more coal. Oh, we found more resources, but just drawing it out as long as we can. Now they come with the electric car, right? The electric car is more detrimental than the combustion engine. So now they're going to move away from from the electric car, and they're going to move into hydrogen because that's really much better. But they're going to go to a hydrogen fuel cell, a solid state hydrogen, instead of going straight hydrogen. So this is all about, drabbing down technology over time to capitalize over hundreds of years. Some of their plans are 400 and 500 years in advance. Their business models and their business plans go out for 400 or 500 years. The average business person plans 3, 5, 10. But they're planning for hundreds of years in advance.
I understood number one, which number one was, there's a good purpose to it, right? We got to protect, because a lot of these technologies in the wrong person's hands, they can destroy the world. Maybe even bigger than a nuclear bomb.
Right.
Who knows what these 6,000 patents that they are. Number two is, the idea of that, when you read it, it says the Invention Secrecy Act requires the government to impose secrecy orders on certain patent applications that contain sensitive information, thereby restricting disclosure of the invention, withholding the patent. And then if you read it even closer, it explains the fact that even if the law is designed to prevent disclosure of new inventions and technologies that, in the opinion of selected federal agencies, in the opinion, not accuracy, but just purely opinion, present an alleged threat to the economic stability and national security of the United States. So national security was your point number one. Economic stability, we cannot drive a car with water 200 miles per gallon. Wait a minute, that's going to destroy the oil industry.
Exactly.
That's a $5 trillion industry. We can't do something like that.
Right.
So $500 billion industry, we can't do something like that. I get that part. $5 trillion industry. Rob, can you see what oil industries? I think it's 5 trillion. If you can check that up, I think it's $5 trillion. But the third one, unpack the third one a little bit more, because I think I understood what you said, but can you unpack it for me, please?
Yeah. What was the third one I said again? There was the
You said the first one was the risk of the wrong person getting their hands on it. Number two was capitalization. Right. And then number three, you were talking about that they're drawing it out and delaying it. They're not wanting us to know.
Right. Well, you draw it out.
Almost like gaslighting us a little bit.
Well, the reason why you draw it out is because you can extend your ability to monetize, right? So, for example, the cell phone came out during the Vietnam War, but we didn't get that until like 1992, I think it was. We called it the bowling pin, but it was available, a long time before then. And so I think they have the ability to draw things out extensively to just give us small amounts of advanced technology so that we as a civilization, the general population, advances much slower than they advance, giving them the ability to always be 10 steps ahead of us technologically. If they create technology that they dole out to us almost instantly or not too far behind, then we can always catch up to them. And if we catch up to them, then we become a threat. We cannot become a threat by any means necessary. So they keep us with technologies that are far, far behind what they have. I mean, they still have Elon Musk launching, chemical rockets.
What's your point?
I don't think chemical rock. I think that's old fashioned. I think that's really old technology, super ancient technology.
So you think even Elon Musk is old school?
I think he's done a great job with his, launching and landing the same rockets. But you're using you're using controlled explosions in the 21st century. I think there's a lot better technology out there.
You think he's aware of that?
He's probably aware of it, but he's probably doing the best he can.
Got it. So
I don't think they're going to give him the anti-gravity or allow him to use it because of that act you just read.
Yeah, but Rob, I just looked at it. It says $5.3 trillion in 23. I see here the market size, but that's the number I see. You see 1.8, somewhere between those two.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch.
The government is definitely way ahead of us in technology, in my opinion.
Well, I have to quote my friend Ben Rich. What he said before I talked to him, he said at UCLA today in 1993, that's over 30 years ago, unless you went to current schools and it's new math and who knows what the hell it is. But he said 30 years ago, he said, we have the ability to take ET home. Think of that statement. That is an absolutely mind-boggling, incredible statement.
Well, I think that's what Billy just laid out actually fairly nicely. And I love Patrick's keeping him on point and elaborating on that last point of the drip, drip, drip. This is one of the things that I keep talking about. The reason the technology that is available is about to be available to us is exactly what Billy's been talking about. Exactly what he said. The technology they've had for at least the last century. Let's give it that. It's been before that, even with other stuff. But for the last century, they who have been able to control that stuff have had all the goodies, and they haven't let the rest of the kids play with it. Because I think of what Billy was saying, which is I want to get your opinion on. He's saying that they did it so that they could kept us in this model that we're in now, so that they could keep us together, to keep us in a herd, get us dependent on a system that doesn't have any of the bells and whistles or the really cool real stuff that they found and have been using behind their back. And this, I think, goes to Catherine Austin Fitz's model of the breakaway, and Farrell and Dolan as well, the breakaway civilization.
Yeah, but Robert,
is it possible that that's who these guys are, and they've been hoarding all the good shit, and they not only have all of the anti-gravity is a wrong term, it's magnetism, it's a magnetic field, it's not any anti-gravity because gravity is electronic or is electromagnetic anyway, separate nugget. But they've got all that tech. If they can take ET home, how many bases we got on the moon? How many we got on Mars? What about in the rings of Saturn? What about Iapetus? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that we have at least sent machines and grabbed telemetry with on these objects that are not too far away from us, and they got some weird shit going on. stuff that don't make any sense that we can't even we speculate. That's all we can do. But we've got some telemetry that at a minimum says it's odd. It is an object of unknown origin. We think it's a moon. Is it really a moon or is it an asteroid? Maybe.
Yeah, but listen, in the 1940s, you had Dick Tracy. You had Dick Tracy in the 1940s. Hello, Dick Tracy, calling Go-Go Gomez on his smartwatch. Then in 1965, you got Star Trek with his flip phone. Beam me up, Scotty.
Well, don't forget the original smartphone on Get Smart, right? Agent.
Oh yeah.
The shoe phone. I mean, when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. I kind of like this. I want one. When do I get one? What was that? This has been now 60 years later. Oh, look, I not only got that, I got one of them fancy computer things that happened back in the 70s and 80s in the same thing. I got it all in one. Oh, and I got music, I got video, I got streaming.
Hey, and Captain Picard had his touchpad, about 8 years before they came out in the market.
Oh, and the tricorder. Talk to me about the tricorder, okay? The tricorder was the shit, and I think that's what we're going to actually see with one of the most important evolutions of using all this new tech, which is still the wrong physics, but at least it's a better version of the shit that's out there now. There's no have a screen. Back in the 90s, when I was doing all my internet stuff and building computers and software and systems and shit, I was toting around the Toshiba, which was called the Brick, and it was a portable computer, but it was like the size of a small suitcase, and a big old screen popped down, and you had to put the floppies in, and sit there and you get green screen and you see what the hell's going on, and you were able to get shit done. But that was what I was hauling around. I can do all of it. I can do just about everything and anything with this device here.
Yeah.
So they have got, I think, going back to the nugget that's bouncing around the table, I think that what Billy was saying made sense. That there is all of this tech. It is not based. I think Billy is not sure on a few things that I'd like to help him with, but he's heading in the direction of there's a change coming because there's a tech out there that's been hidden that's about to come out. And a lot of it is coming out because of independent researchers, independent content creators, independent people like us that are going out there and asking questions, going, hey, what is this? What's up with that? Wait, what? And you finally get to a point where you go, I don't know about that. And then, as G said earlier, and that's followed by, we'll see about that. Because you got to vet it, don't you? Isn't that part of the problem, guys? Is there's not enough people thinking for themselves and vetting the bullshit that they are having to filter? Because everybody knows there's more shit going down now and flying through the feeds than ever before. Keeping up with it, parrying, getting the good nuggets, getting rid of the other stuff. That's a lot of work now.
Well, it's like everything else. I mean, us as the general public are behind the eight ball. We never get to peek behind the curtain to see what's going on. We just get little glimpses here and there of people saying, I think they have this technology, but we never get to see it. Well, unless it's flying in the skies at night and we think they're extraterrestrials, and they're usually our stuff, our technology. Now, where it came from?
Well, GPS was on nuclear submarines 35 years before it hit the public sector.
Well, not GPS, but the positioning's not with satellites, right? Was that satellites on that one?
Yes, it was.
Oh,
yeah. The first submarines were the Polaris submarines that are equipped with them.
Well, this goes back to, we were talking in that earlier article, the Harvard one that Sarah brought up, where they've got these new delineations in there. Some of them are, the first one's an ancient civilization of humans that have been around for a long time. And they basically keep themselves sequestered. It's like, well, okay, underground, underwater, in mountains, in these massive. I've got one article about all the massive tunneling that they found down in Florida. It just apparently it's massive, and they go, well, there's this incredible cavern down there.
It's everywhere in Indonesia, in Turkey.
Well, I think I'm glad Billy and Patrick had that conversation. I think it was an extremely good one on the topic. Now, the next one I'm going to share, let's see what time. You guys want to take a quick break, or are you good? Anybody need to go empty their emesis basin?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, I might make a coffee.
Well, I've got a 2-minute little vid here that I'll fire up. This is a compilation of Clay's artwork to the Geezer theme.